Okay, my name is Alex, and I will be doing the training for the Mentee-Mentor program. So first, welcome to DAP, and I will just be going over what is necessary for you when you are a mentor. So first, the role of a mentor. You provide effective transitioning from those students' high school to the university life, but it can also be from another university to this university when students are transferred. So it's just helping them be successful at Towson. Provide support and modeling, so help them understand how they can advocate for themselves with teachers, whether through giving them their memos or talking about what they get in class, special privileges they get in class, such as extra test taking or sitting in the front row. And you can talk to them about how it's okay to ask for private time to talk about them. You're not putting them out of the way, and you shouldn't be embarrassed for asking for these privileges. And then provide support and modeling for disability issues and concerns. So if a student maybe feels like they're going around campus and they're feeling like they're being discriminated against, or maybe they feel like a teacher's not giving them what they need, help in this relationship the student be able to feel like they can be open with you and not feel like they're being annoying to tell you this information. Important activities that the mentor can provide to the mentee include academic support, whether it's through a subject you know well you can help them with, or whether it's just sitting down and taking a half an hour to do homework together to hold them responsible, or whether it's to connecting them with the resources they need, whether it be the writing center or someone at Cook Library or tutoring, or maybe even helping them maybe draft an email to talk to the teacher. All these things you can help them facilitate their academic life. For role modeling, this is being a good role model for success, so that would include helping them study effectively, managing the time between school and social life, and being appropriate in your meetings, so not coming in dressed inappropriately or drinking before you go in there, or taking your mentor to go drink. Do something that's generally considered acceptable. Attention and concern, help the students transition and be someone who's dependable and accountable to what they need. And so this doesn't necessarily mean only just being there for them. This means being sincere in the relationship you have with your mentee, because while we are considered mentor-mentees, it's also kind of a friendship at one point. You want to look at it as not being completely professional, have some social interaction. This goes into being accountable. You want to make sure when you set up a meeting with your mentee, you're going to the meeting. You're not late, or you're not leaving early, or you're not texting during your meeting. It's understandable that we all have busy lives in college, but we want to make sure that the time we give to our mentees is devoted to what they need. And then listening, making sure that you're not just sitting there staring off into space when they're talking to you, that you're relating to them and that you're helping them feel like they are being heard and they're being understood. So this goes into what a mentor should not be. You're not there to be a psychologist or a therapist. You're there as a support, and you're not there to be a parent to tell them what to do and what not to do. You're just there to try to be like, this is what I've gone through, this is how I handle it. It may help you, it may not help you. And then ask what they're going through and be like, maybe give them some ideas, but not tell them what to do, and just kind of talk through whatever they feel they need to talk through. So what does a mentor do in specific? Well, first, communication is vital. When you're first contacting your mentee, we have a template of an email you can send to them, which includes you sharing personal information. So it's not just like, I'm your mentor, let's meet. You're giving them some sort of information on yourself so it's comfortable when you first meet. And this ability to communicate effectively goes into when you're actually meeting. You don't want to just be sitting there expecting them to talk all the time. And that means that sometimes it might be more one-sided. I had a mentee one time who was really quiet, and I talked a lot. But I think the fact that I was so willing to open up to her helped her eventually open up to me. So sometimes if it feels like you're talking a lot, give them the time to talk to, but don't feel like they're always needing to share, because they might not be comfortable with sharing. Ask questions about them. I always like doing this for the first meeting. I always do like icebreaker kind of things with my mentees. So it's just silly questions. You know, what's your dog? Do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Who's in your family? Where are you from? Things that don't necessarily pertain to how you can help them in college, but just ways of getting to know somebody. I guess a silly connection is like, it's first date, kind of. So you want to get to know them for them and not just for their disabilities or the issues they're going through. One big thing that you can do, and it's not necessary, but it may help to facilitate the social aspect of your relationship, is going to campus events. But again, this goes back to being appropriate. You don't want to take them to a frat party or a sorority party. You want to take them maybe to a football game or a pep rally, or maybe some fundraiser through DAP, or maybe DAP, the mentor co-chair often has parties for DAP. Like right now we have a game party, and so that you can take them to that so they can meet other people who are in the same program as they are. And you can do things in groups. So if you are really close to another mentor in the program, you can get together with their mentee, and that's a way that they can broaden their connection to DAP. Hopefully if they're in it one day, they know people before they're in the program. So effective mentors will involve the mentee in how they decide to spend their time. I tend to like to do you kind of get the idea of what they want to do when you first get the paper they fill out, because they talk about what they want, why they want a mentor, but you can still always ask them. Like, I had a mentor who specifically asked for effective time management skills, so we talked a lot about that, and I like typed things up for him, and I gave him advice, but we still like would sit down and do homework together, or we would talk about social things. So it's like it's doing what they want to do, but making sure that you have a balance between helping them in different ways and facilitating what they ask for help in. Recognize that the relationship may be one-sided. This goes back to the fact that people may be shy initially, or that you may know a lot more about the campus than they do because they are most likely new. Respect the mentee's viewpoint, and this goes into whatever their disability may be. Don't think that you know where they're coming from, because maybe you had a bad situation growing up, but maybe they didn't have a bad situation. Don't assume that they're coming from a situation that you're coming from. So don't preach to them about your views necessarily. You can be open about it, but don't be like, you're wrong for feeling this way. And so that goes into leaving your personal agenda behind. You don't want this to be a relationship just what you want out of it. It's more about what they need out of it. And then, of course, if you feel stuck, or if you feel like you're confused about what to do with your mentee, always go to the mentor co-chairs or chair, depending on how many there are, or to the DAP advisors. Everyone in DAP is really willing to be helpful, and if you feel stuck, someone would be able to give you advice for that situation and help you get through it, so it's not you're alone in any way. And that helps for you to feel more confident when you're talking to your mentee. And meet on a regular basis. Don't meet like once at the beginning of the semester and once at the end of the semester. You need to meet 5 times at least, so that you can fill out your contact log, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but you need to meet on a regular consistent basis. I met relatively twice a month, so that way you can, at the beginning of each month and the end of each month, facilitate what's going on that month, how it went that month, and then look towards the next month. And then we discussed the 3 stages of the mentoring relationship. So the first is developing rapport and building trust. It's crucial to emphasize to them that it's confidential what you're saying. You're not going to be going off to your friends gossiping about them, or you're not going to be going off to DAP and being like, oh, they said this or whatever. If there's an issue that needs to be addressed, such as any thoughts of harming themselves or someone else, that's obviously something that needs to be shared. But other than that, I don't think there's too much else that you need to tell other people about, unless the person's okay with you saying something about. So like if they tell you they had an issue with their test this week, that's not something you need to be going off and telling somebody else. And that helps build rapport, because they begin to know that they can trust you even though they've never met you and this is a new relationship. Setting goals and reaching goals. This is definitely true for when you first meet and you decide what you want your relationship to be. Some relationships can be more open, I guess you can say. If the person just wants support, their goal may be to find more supportive relationships in general. So it's not necessarily like you're teaching them how to find supportive relationships, you're being that supportive relationship, versus someone who wants time to learn how to do better in class, that's more of a goal oriented, where you can be like, when did you do your homework this week? Did you mark it off? So you can teach them certain skills to use to reach that goal. And then closing the relationship. You want to make sure they know that this relationship only lasts for a semester unless you both decide otherwise. I've had mentees who, after that semester, we haven't talked again, and I've had mentees who we're still friends to this day. So it's what you both feel like is okay. It's not it's something you need to be open about. There's also something that isn't this relationship, this semester is not an end-all be-all. And then finally, for the rules of communication, you want to make sure you're positive. You don't want to be going in and being like, oh, Towson sucks. I mean, there's going to be parts of Towson that you don't like, and you want to be open about this, but you don't want them to feel like they're going to have a really difficult or negative experience at Towson. You want to be clear and specific about your intentions with them, with this relationship, and maybe advice you're giving to them, but also with what they're telling you. Recognize different viewpoints, which was touched on before. You want to be open and honest. Accept the mentee's feelings and try to understand them, so basically empathy. Be supportive and accepting. Do not preach or lecture. Listen, obvious. I think that's a big one, that it's not just all about you getting a therapy session, it's about you two connecting. This is kind of a straightforward one, but obviously it needs to be said, is maintain eye contact. You don't want to be sitting there with them texting to somebody else and be like, you want to engage in the conversation. Ask questions to them when you don't understand. It's okay if they say something and you're like, I've never experienced that, or what do you mean? Because it doesn't mean that you're ignoring them, it just means that you care about what they're saying, and that's why you're asking the questions. Ask for feedback to make sure that they're getting out of it what they want, because sometimes you may misunderstand what they want, and they may be afraid to tell you. So you want to be open enough that they can tell you, I'm not getting what I need from this. And set examples rather than giving advice. So if you sit down to do homework, you can, instead of being like, this is how you do it, you can be like, this is what I do, this helps me. We can look up and see if maybe there's something else that can help you, just to build the foundation. And necessary tasks is that first you need to fill out the mentoring contract, which includes the mentee's objectives and responsibilities, but then also includes the mentor's responsibilities. And just briefly, those include providing advice to the mentor and referrals if need be, communicating appropriately and professionally, and being professional, being on time for the meetings, and then contacting anyone in DAP, especially the mentoring committee chairperson if needed. And then we'll keep the information private, and then this needs to be returned within 7 days of receiving the application, just so that we know that you are actually meeting, because if you're not, then you're going to need to contact the mentoring chair and tell them, I need another mentee, or this one's not reaching out to me, what should we do? And then the second thing is, every time you meet, you need to fill out a mentoring contact log, and this needs to be filled out 5 times throughout the semester. And I would obviously definitely say not to wait till the end of the semester and be like, oh, we're going to meet 5 times the last couple weeks of school, because then it's not effective for them or you. And I would also recommend filling it out after each time you meet. Someone told me that advice and I didn't follow it, and I regretted it because I never remembered what we went through. It takes barely any time for you to write it down. And also, a lot of these sections, like questions that came up or problems, sometimes you don't have any problems, so it doesn't take that long for you to fill it out. And the advisors ask that you return these logs as often as possible, but depending on how busy your scheduling it is, I don't think they mind if you wait till the end of the semester. And so then the final thing is just to continue to remember to contact your chairperson or any advisors if you have any issues. So hope you enjoy meeting with your mentor, and good luck.